I was telling her, thank you so much. I was telling her if she sang it, that'd have been pretty good, though. We were trying to get her backstage to do it, but she was like pretty resolved. Thank you so much for having me today and for this incredible room full of power. It's so inspiring. It's so magnificent. I'm so blessed to share it with the people that I love, too. I feel so supported and just so much gratitude. So I just want to thank everybody at Variety. And Robin Roberts, a hero on so many levels. I mean, you are. You're such a woman of power and courage that you showed in the fight against cancer and MDS and in the vulnerability you continue to share in your recovery. I feel, we all feel it in your books, on TV every morning, and I know it personally in real life. You've always been so generous to me and such a champion for my individuality, and I thank you deeply for your love and your sisterhood, so thank you. Thank you so much. I'm elated. And I didn't even have any wine this afternoon. Like, you gotta be careful drinking this early. You gotta watch these events, you know. But I am elated to receive this honor, especially from you, and especially this year. Because we should always highlight, celebrate, and honor the power of women. Because look at us. Look at us. I mean, look at everyone who's touched this stage. Look at us. This is it. We are more on fire than we've ever been. And look at all the action that's around us. The women running for office in record numbers. The women banding together in the entertainment industry, raising legal action funds for all women, including domestic and farm workers who need so much support. The women demanding an end to the disparity in the music industry, like equal representation on the Grammy stage. We were told we need to step it up. Well, you feel that step up now. Women asking for the money we deserve. Equal pay for equal work. Like for the actors on the shows called The Crown. It's called The Crown. It's about the queen. So why is the prince getting more than the queen? So the queens are gonna get their paper. I wanna remind you why all of this change is happening. It's not because a new law was passed that said executives put an end to sexual harassment and violence in the workplace. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened yet. It's certainly not because our current administration hired a czarina of women's safety, or even passed the Equal Rights Amendment, because that's not happening yet. It's because a woman, then two, then three, started fearlessly sharing their stories. Like that woman right there, Tarana Burke. Right there. Thank you. You see how revered you are. It's because you're inspiring people to know that we can. And so thank you. And everybody at your table who supports you, thank you so much. Absolutely. We started talking together and taking this into our hands, not holding back, and finally, the country started listening. I have so much pride in all of us women finding our voices. But it's not just women doing this work. You know, this isn't only women's work, by the way. Just want to be clear. I saw the men, they were a little shook. You know, I didn't want them to feel that way. Don't feel that way, y'all. Don't. Because it takes great men, and there are so many of them, who support us in elevating our voices to make this kind of cultural change happen. I always give so much credit to my first manager, Jeff Robinson, who not only put me in the room where it happens, but sat me at the head of the table when it came to negotiations with executives and sharing my perspective. I was 14, and Jeff treated me like an equal. So, because of that, I've always been at the head of my table. And it takes that. It takes that from men and women alike. to shift this once and for all. So I want to thank Jeff and mentors like him. And of course, I want to thank my mama, a true woman of power. That's a woman of power right there. If you don't know my mama, I love her so much. A woman who showed me true strength by also being vulnerable and honest. She taught me that you will always get what you take, so don't take it. She was a single mother, and I don't feel like I missed anything. In fact, I gained more because I witnessed her power and her fortitude firsthand. So she taught me about feminism just by being who she is. And she's here with me today, so give some love to my mama. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And it is women who have always been the storytellers of our culture. And our stories have so much power. I'm a storyteller myself. I tell mine while I'm playing the piano. And when we tell our stories, even the ugly ones, especially the ugly ones, when we're honest and we're brave, then we can change the narrative. The narrative used to be, she asked for it. If the boss hit you, it was because she asked for it. If the doctor touched you, it was because you seemed willing. But when Tarana said, "Me too," and others followed her lead, then the narrative begins to change. And it went from, she's a little bit nutty and a little bit slutty back in 1991. You remember that? To we all believe Anita Hill in 2018. So Anita really is a founding mother of the current movement, and the courage it took to do what she did. Blessings to Anita Hill and her redemption after decades. So change happens because of people, not necessarily people with big titles or big bank accounts. It's power to the people right now. We are defining what power is. We are powerful because we are speaking our truths. We are the agents of change, and we are changing workplace culture. We are changing the future of LGBTQ youth. We are changing the narrative around gun reform from it can't be done to it must be done. We are changing the narrative around incarcerated women of this country with the Dignity for Incarcerated Women Act. We are changing the narrative of people of color in this country. We are changing the narrative of black and brown men. Stephen Clark, I say his name. Alton Sterling, I say his name. Philandro Castillo, I say his name. And I will never stop saying their names. But please, God, don't let any more names be added to this list. And through Keep a Child Alive, we're changing the narrative around HIV and AIDS, a disease that disproportionately affects women of color. The number of black women who receive an HIV diagnosis is almost 3 times higher than that of white women, and that shakes me. Like, it makes me angry. And it should make us all angry because it's crazy. And we're channeling that anger into action. Since 2003, when I co-founded KCA, we've remained true to our mission to directly support community-based organizations that are working hard to realize the end of AIDS for children and families. And these organizations are mostly women-led, and those female leaders are something else. I mean, right? I can't even believe it. Like Mom Carol, the head of our program in Johannesburg. In Soweto during the 1970s, she was part of the student uprising protesting apartheid. And today, she provides service and support to over 800 children in Soweto who've been orphaned or affected by AIDS. Her. It's like, and then one of the children that she's brought up and helped to find her own power, her name is Cece, who I met on my first trip to South Africa. And Cece lost both of her parents and had to help raise her young siblings in child-headed households, which, is a huge result. of the AIDS pandemic, but she still has so much light in her and such a beautiful energy, and I knew it from the minute I saw her face, man. You know, you see people and you're just like, her, that's a one. And today, she is a talented journalist, a survivor who will not let herself be anything short of phenomenal. And another phenomenal young woman is Shakira, who, this badass leader at our partnership in Kampala, Uganda. Shakira is HIV positive and counsels others to rid themselves of internalized stigma like she did. She's also the mother of a toddler named Nathan, who was born HIV negative and growing up in a healthy, loving environment. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. So I'm telling you this to share even more stories about truly culture-rocking women. Women who are changing the future. They're not just faceless statistics, but real women, real people with HIV or touched by HIV who are filled with love and light and energy and determination. And these are the real women of power. And they are changing our culture for the better, because cultural change always precedes policy change. The energy and organization that led the Women's March precedes the necessary legislation around sexual harassment. The student outcry that evolved into March for Our Lives precedes common sense gun reform. The frustration and determination that launched the Black Lives Matter movement will lead to laws that protect us from police brutality. I know they will. Thank you. So I see the people touched by these issues telling their stories as cultural advocates and forces for change. Because true change agents don't always have money, they don't always have resources, but they are warriors. Warriors of peace, warriors of pride, warriors of light. Tina, Emily, Margaret, Tarana, you too are these warriors of light. I'm so honored to be standing here with you all, because you are the agents of change who inspire me. You are changing our culture to be inclusive and expansive, to embrace everyone, no matter our color or our gender, our background, our abilities. So I really am honored to receive this award. Especially, I would like to accept it on behalf of all the women that have never been recognized in the way they deserve to be. So you are all incredible women of power. So I ask us all to continue to look inside of ourselves, to continue to find our source of light and power and put it to work as warriors for what we believe in. Each and every one of us can be a warrior for justice and an agent of change. So start by sharing your stories, because believe me, we are here and we are ready and open and listening to you. Thank you so much for today. I'll get my little, mine.